Welcome. These will be my thoughts on Arrow Season 3, Episode 21, Sah-Him. The episode is rated TV-14, so this video there will be spoilers for the episode and everything Arrowverse leading up to it. Not anything Arrowverse or anything else that came out after this episode first premiered. Another episode that I absolutely loved. This might actually be my very favorite episode of anything Arrowverse so far. So, I wanted to very briefly note, so there's not it is Pride Month. There's not an awful lot, in this episode for me to talk about, so I will recommend a Pride-themed YouTube video. The Jesse Gender video weaponizing toxic fandoms for Stargate, something along those lines. I'm afraid my wrists are too sort of double check right now, but yeah, I think it's my favorite episode so far. The action, the transitions to flashback, the emotion. I think this might have been the time so far where I the most sat watching it genuinely not knowing how they were going to end it. I spent a decent chunk of it wondering if the episode would end with Sah-Him killing Dig. And I mean, the season's not over. I guess it might still happen. I genuinely don't even know, like, if the season's gonna... I don't know. If I had to, right now my theory is there's gonna be some way for him to come back, but I have no idea how that's going to happen. This genuinely seems like just a truly impossible to come back from thing. This seems uncomeback-fromable to me, and that is really exciting. Now, I wanted to very briefly say I don't know how I managed to forget, but obviously, yes, I absolutely loved in the Flash episode before this one, the thing about, oh yeah, you're the Flash, says Gideon the AI. You're one of the founding members of, and then it's cut off, and it's like, I mean, I had a feeling that would be, but I guess now I'm starting to wonder if that's like them trying to be coy about it. Maybe they're not going to call it the Justice League or something, but yeah, it's yeah, I absolutely loved how this episode opens with a brand new intro, and I believe this is the first time ever he in that has said it is I was Oliver, or my name was Oliver Queen. It's always been my name is Oliver Queen. Just, or to them I'm Oliver Queen. To others I'm something else. But this is the first time yeah. And the fact that they made it out of like clips of him as Sah-Him was also just pitch perfect choice. And I'm gonna try to keep the rest of this more or less chronological. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, this thing of the what's the word? The mind control thing, the brainwashing. That's the word. And yeah, the entire montage was just spot on. Like, I felt so much in such a short amount of time, and yeah, the thing of the part where it looks like he's killing Dig. Yeah, and the I genuinely, until the reveal, I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I really thought that was what was gonna, and we spent the rest of the episode knowing he's willing to, you know? And at the end of the day, like, yeah, he just chooses a tactic he feels is more efficient, Like, yeah, they're assassins, but they don't just kill, like, randomly. That's not their thing. Oh, also, I think I forgot to mention, I love the brief bit about, assassins. The original word is hashashin, and there's been a lot of lies about them. It just means those who stand outside of society, and that's, yeah, fantastic. Love that they brought that up. And I feel like that does, but yeah, and I genuinely, it sounded so credible. This thing of like, oh yeah, you know, they're going to force Al-Sah-Him to actually kill Dig, and then we find out, I mean, I suppose the way to say it is that evidently they have a number of herbs and spices at Nanda Parbat, and yeah, like genuinely, once again, definitely felt like they were trying to wink and nudge at the Nolan trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy, but not in a way that felt derivative, not like truly derivative, just like, you know, and it's a fun like twist on it because like I don't know, I guess I don't want to say what it is in those, but just, you know, we have what's in those and then we have what's here, and I'm really glad that neither of them tried to do the other because I don't think it would have worked. Yeah, the way that there's so much screen time here devoted to, or running time is maybe the right term, but yeah, um, spending like 40 minutes genuinely thinking that they were going to have the former Oliver Queen kill Dig, like that is not something I ever thought would genuinely feel like it's one of those twists where like if somebody had spoiled this for me, like I don't know, just 5 episodes ago, I think I would have been like, "There's no way. That's got to be just a lie," you know. And yet now seeing it, it feels completely earned, and earned with an ER, not with a U. And I guess that does bring us back to Starling City. So let's see. I think the or wait, is that the first of the flashbacks? Maybe I'll do so yeah. Flashback wise, yeah, they talk about, whose fault it is that Oliver dropped the deadly virus that Oliver was supposed to prevent from killing a bunch of people. Nice going, Oliver. Seriously though, yeah, I mean, if not for Shriver, then it wouldn't be, and you got to be careful not to let yourself get distracted. Maybe Oliver could have handled it better. Focus on trying to make it right. And let's see, and that's that's what they do for him. And let's see, so I think that's the entirety of the first one. Yeah, so back in Starling City, Felicity once again, like, see, I'm a little torn. What's her best line in this episode? Because like, yeah, I'm not even gonna try to repeat it, but the thing she said whilst feeding the baby, we also have don't you dare touch me, which was such a fantastic, because like, yeah, genuinely, you know, Al-Sahim, it was like, Felicity doesn't use guns, she doesn't have to use them to carry them. And I guess that does. There was at least one more that I really wanted to mention, but I don't know, maybe it'll come to me later. And right, I did also really like the thing about, like, Lila pointing out, I think Sarah's a little too young for that kind of food, and then Felicity saying, well, I had nachos, as a baby, and yeah, so Dig comes home, no Glocks on the dinner table. There are other tables for that, and possibly other pistols for the dinner table. I hope not. And but that's also, I really do think they're doing a great job, this sort of, because we have what's the word? It's this thing of the balance between who they used to be and who they are now, that they're parents. And I also really appreciate that, yeah, it's like, yeah, he's kind of exhausted, so he just needs a break, but they don't play it as like, oh, she's so annoying. Like, no, he forgot, and then he fixed it. And yeah, he got some intel from Felicity, and that was another of the potential best lines of Felicity, and thus the episode. In this episode, the thing about, so if you're gonna keep going out at night, maybe we should think of getting you, do not say costume, identity concealer. And then Dig's face is like, I shall just let her say costume. And I mean, she's making a good point, but it is also like, yeah, that's really not his style. And I think the next thing is the yeah, the thing about the what's the word? The full disclosure, did not get enough sleep last night. Yeah, the in Starling we have the 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 Black Canary, and I thought they did a fantastic job showing, like, clearly she has improved under Nisa's tutelage, but she still does have some way to go. And the thing about, he didn't have a knife, he had two among his knives. And yeah, the thing about, like, so more training, black and white milkshake, so gray, I guess. Seriously though, that thing does look absolutely delicious. And yeah, appreciate it. Nisa's little comments on, why do you, I have never understood your country's desire to fry everything. Well, Nisa, I understand and share anybody else's desire to hear you keep talking about American culture with your very particular vernacular. It's wonderful. And the thing about, like, dip it in the milkshake. I sense you mocking me. Okay, you know what? Maybe Felicity has a little bit of competition there. But for best line. But then she does go ahead and try, and she's like, that is delicious. And also, the part where she said it's more oil than potato. Fantastic. And I guess I feel like that brings us to the next of the, no, wait, yeah, that's we have the thing with telling, yeah, the thing about, like, I haven't, I haven't been this happy in a long time, not since Sarah. And then Laurel tells her about Sah-Him at Nanda Prabhat. And I quite appreciated the little thing about, like, if I were so inclined, I would question your first choice always being to hide information, especially after it cost you your relationship with your father. But I am not so inclined, so I will not do so. And, like, it's one of those things of, like, she's being a little passive aggressive. She has a point, though. I feel like it's, does she need to put up a neon sign that, like, spells out literally, do not keep secrets from me? And let's see, yeah, I believe that is the scene where she points out, because yeah, this thing about, like, you should leave. I'm not going to leave my friend. Since your friend agreed to become heir to the demon, he will come for me with as many men as it takes. What a setup! Like, holy crap! And I really appreciated that, like, yeah, genuinely, at first he goes alone. And, Maseo does tell him, oh, you should have brought more people. Okay, hindsight is 2020, okay? But yeah, like, he genuinely felt like it will, and yeah, she even points out, you bested me in combat before. And if not for the others, it would have, yeah, that would have been it. Al-Sah-Him would have taken her back in we'd have half an episode, I guess. And I feel like that's about when we get the second of the flashbacks. And yeah, just so we've got like someone in their car, and then someone goes up and like spits blood on the window, and you just know, like, the driver of that car is like, I really can't deal with rage zombies right now. It's been a long day. And yeah, seeing all these people just drop dead, taking what their toxic ex said a little bit too literally. And then the thing about, like, oh, we're handing out a cure. I thought there was no cure. That's the virus. Like, holy crap. And I think that does bring us nicely to the yeah, so they I yeah, we have the thing with the you're right, Nisa told the yeah, the rest of Team Arrow, what remains, he and she who remain, about the whole thing. And yeah, we have the very understandable, like, they're really reluctant to believe it. And I really appreciate that, once again, it happens very early in the episode, and by the end of the episode, they have had to accept. It really does seem like Oliver Queen is nothing but a memory. And I guess that does... I feel like there was one more thing about the scene. Yeah, so we, the thing about how yeah, so yeah, Nisa walks away. She turns and she walks away. No ugly pants though. And the thing about, like, I put a tracking device on her. It's not my first day. And Felicity just being like, and on the rooftop, I love the thing about, like, this is where my beloved died. If I must perish, I wish it to be on the same ground. Yeah, there really is competition here for best line. And great fight. I really appreciate. I genuinely, that was another thing. I was sitting there thinking, well, I guess that's the end of Nisa. I don't know how she's gonna come out of it. And then we got our first official proper canary scream. And it is voice activated, and it's shattering glass. I wonder if were there many people, let me know in the comments if you happen to know, were there many people who were only watching Arrow, who didn't also watch The Flash, and were like, where did that come from? But yeah, I mean, at this point, pretty much just like a bartending job away from being the exact Black Canary that I read in the comics. So very, very cool. I really love the way that they build up. We're near the end of the third season here. She was in the season 1 opener, Yeah, they've done such an amazing job building towards it, because, like, I think I did say, or maybe just imply, but, as soon as her middle name, Dinah, was said, I was thinking, I guess maybe she'll become Black Canary. Now, I believe that does bring us nicely to... Yeah, so yeah, like, I genuinely, I thought Sah-Him was going to try to kill the others, and yeah, let's see. So he returns, which Maseo points out. Some didn't believe he would, and yeah, the thing, she had friends. Were they your friends? And he didn't even answer that. And yeah, just notes that he, they will be protecting her, so we have to approach this in another way. And yeah, so we have in the flashback, they take out the soldiers and destroy what remained of the virus. And I think that flashback ends with them heading back. Oh wait, no, I think we see them arrive in the and so they do find Akio, and for the time being he was okay, but not long after. Like, yeah, at this point, like, genuinely, I mean, obviously they're not going to go as graphic as, like, I don't know, live action Walking Dead, for example, but hey, yeah, I guess we are actually going to, they're gonna kill Akio. I'm thinking by the end of the season, that's gonna be a real rough sit, but yeah, that's right. I also that's part of it. Not only do they early on show what appears to be Al-Sah-Him killing Dig, but over the rest of the episode, it feels credible. And yeah, like, I'm sitting there thinking, I mean, they've killed other really major characters, sometimes very abruptly, so yeah, I feel like that. Yeah, so we have the yeah, Lila has been kidnapped, and genuinely, like, such a just yeah, it's it's so messed up, and I really appreciate her calling him out on it, and still calling, so many of them call John Diggle Dig, but she, tends to call him Johnny. And I guess that does. Yeah, and so the phone call, and Al-Sah-Him doesn't even really react to the threat at all, not even non-verbally. He just says, "You have 30 minutes." And so they discuss, and I love the way that Nisa, she appreciates it, and she doesn't even deny it. But like the way that Dig talks to her, she just kind of looks him up and down and like does a little smirk. She's not even disagreeing with him, but it's just this thing of like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe she's thinking like, this is a terrible time for me to pitch the league to you, isn't it? I'm trying to be better about reading the room. And Laurel stepping in front of, stepping in between the two of them, and then Nissa steps to the side. She sidesteps, but not the issue. And yeah, the just really, really incredibly tense. And yeah, all of them show up. And I will say, the moment that I saw Felicity there, I was thinking, really, is she also gonna? Because but yeah, it's very, very clever, because nobody expected the Spanish Inquisition, or perhaps more relevant, her to be carrying, right. And somewhere around here we also have the Felicity and Thea, which also, just real quick, loved seeing her with Sarah. That was genuinely really, really sweet. And listen, it's been some years, but I can attest, babies just have that effect on, like, I don't know, I suppose not everybody, but a lot of us. Like, it's just, if you see a baby, just like, obviously not like, if it's like a stranger, don't like go up if but yeah, like when there's a new baby in the family, it's, yeah. and or in this case, friends. And yeah, the when she, yeah, so what? She's kind of also in the running for best line of the episode now that I think about it. But yeah, the thing about, good upgrade to the secret hideout because, like, yeah, the previous one is still in shambles. And, how did you get in? My father's a supervillain, and you left the door unlocked. And then she is thinking about, like, maybe she also could throw herself into, this work to try to make up for what she has done. And I appreciate that at first Felicity is just like, well, I mean, I feel like that's probably not exactly what the doctors recommend for someone who's just come back from the dead. That was also such a great, the thing about, like, how do you feel, Thea? Well, I've never been dead before, so I don't know what to compare it to. She knew. You can see it on her face. She's trying to not think about Ollie. And who at this point, I guess, is Oxenfree. And yeah, the she points out, Felicity, bad time to handle me. And Felicity says, this is literally the worst week for you to be asking this, and comes right out and explains the circumstance. And yeah, like, really, really well done there at the end where we see her, with the bow and arrow and the whole... And she actually did shoot him. And then threatens to, what did she say? The next one's in your eye. Yeah, just and the fact that he doesn't even, yeah, he just, she says, step away from Dig. And he does. And ultimately he's not there for him. It's just this thing of, like, you are becoming a nuisance. And I guess that does yeah, and the thing with, Jakarta, very nicely done on that. And yeah, like, it just looks like a hug, the I guess that pretty much brings us... Yeah, and Nisa also putting up a fight. Everyone, just fantastic action. And I love how many different, like, major characters are involved in this action scene where I'm genuinely, like, super emotionally engaged. Ultimately, it's still, it is one of those scenes where it is just like these kind of faceless, just foot soldier kind of, but there's so much. It's not like everyone who fights the good guys is just a foot soldier. One of them is Sah-Him. Anyway, I appreciate it would have been overstimulating if all of the bad guys had been named characters as well. I guess that does cover the... I feel like there's one more thing that I really wanted to say. I guess the rest is not silence, but there's some Nanda Parbat and some wrap-up. And yeah, just very brief on the wrap-up. Felicity crying by herself. And the yeah, Laurel. It's just not the same to milkshake dip. Would you like some potato with your cooking oil? When you're by yourself and you miss that special someone. Right. Also really just appreciated the way that, yeah, they talk about, well, Dig is like, well, I know, sometimes people turn because of the, what's the word? Brainwashing. But I never thought it would happen with Oliver. And, yeah, genuinely, really, really compelling. And that again is, I appreciate there's a lot of 14-year-olds that this is not going to apply to, but it is true that sometimes people just change in a major way. I think that does bring us to, yeah, the I am also like genuinely not sure because like they did give Akio the what's it called, the vaccine, so I don't know why he is bleeding like that. I guess we'll find out later. And now I'm starting to wonder if that clip was used by anti-vaxxers recently. Anyway, I think that there's at least one more thing before. Okay, let's do a quick trip to Nanda Parbat because there's definitely some stuff there. So yeah, we have the thing about like, well, you know, as soon as Nisa is brought back, you know, it was not on her person, and you just see the look on Al Sahim's face like, I was not informed that there was perhaps supposed to be something on her person. And we get the explanation. Oh, I completely forgot to mention, that was also really, really cool. The thing about, like, yeah, one person was behind all of those problems the Arrow had back then, and the, yeah, the thing with, you know, fighting the, what was it? Yeah, fighting the other heir, or the potential heir to the demon. But yeah, they managed to find the Alpha and the Omega. And yeah, like they continue to do a fantastic job with this, you know, like all 3 seasons so far built wonderfully to the climax, you know, and yeah, like this is reminding me a lot of how the second season built up Mirakuru, and the first season, The Undertaking. Yeah, like genuinely, you know, I think I've already mentioned it, but the fact that The Undertaking was mentioned so early in season 1, and then by the end of season 1, we actually get to see The Undertaking take under. And I feel like there's one more. Yeah, genuinely super clever twist about, you know, because Raish never said anything about Starling City. He promised that Oliver Queen's loved ones would be unharmed. And really, what I picture happening is that they will be informed credibly that there will be a virus attack of the city. And I mean, at that point, I'm thinking Raish would argue, if they choose to stay in Sterling City, that's really on them, you know. I don't have to save you either. And once again, fantastic riff on the yeah, I guess at this point I should keep it vague and not say, but I am pretty sure if you know, you know, you know. And that definitely does, yeah, just such a, right, and the point about, you know, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And the, yeah, forced marriage, which once again, like, it's one of those things, like, sadly has and does still, you know, happen to a lot. And it's also something that does sometimes happen in comic books and probably other soap operas, but I think of it, well, you know, when I think of something like that, I do think primarily of, in fiction, I mean, think of comics. And yeah, genuinely really effectively done, because yeah, that is the thing, like, you know, it's supposed to be that the heir to the demon is supposed to be genetically related to the demon, evidently, you know. And right, also, you know, this thing of like the you know, telling Sah-Him to execute her, and then, you know, Raish does stop him. Isaac, I want to say, that biblical story, you know, just wanted to see if I could dare you into doing it, and yeah, the genuinely, I do not know what is going to happen. I think there's like 2 episodes left of this season. I do not know how it's going to end, and it's again this thing of like, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be like everyone in Starling City dying, but I mean, in season 1, I came really, really close to fully believing they will actually manage to stop the undertaking, and then, you know, backup. Right, that was also the yeah, Thea and Malcolm talking was also great, and the thing about like, you know, the little dig she made at him was fantastic. Right, and the bit with, so I hate to interrupt, you're staring into nothingness, and, you know, explaining about Roy, and yeah, like, I don't know, maybe she will. I wouldn't rule out that she's gonna be Team Arrow though, but will it will one or the other, possibly both over time, will come to pass, and I'm looking forward to seeing. Right, before I do finish off this video, I did just want to briefly note the so true story. This morning, I should say, where I live, spiders are not dangerous to human beings. Do not attempt this at home if that is not the case for you. But yeah, happened to find a spider in the bathroom, and you know, I know some, you know, different people have different perspective on what to do in that circumstance. Obviously, you'll want to try to avoid eye contact. Don't make it any more awkward than it has to be. But yeah, I know some people would say, ah, you know, kill. I don't know. I've always been, I favor put out. The merry part of those 3 options never occurred to me, certainly. But seriously, though, you know, if you can slide a little bit, not just a little bit, but slide some paper under it and get it out a window or a door, you know, they do good. They kill insects that we would rather do without. But I also do understand, you know, people who just can't stand them, you know, especially if you have actual arachnophobia. Now, I guess that pretty much, I feel like there was one more thing I wanted to say about the episode. The, let's see, yeah, maybe that was everything. Okay, I'm just real quick gonna mentally fast forward through the, I think also just one of the reasons why it hit hard with Akio is we kind of already knew, because like we were told, you know, in an earlier episode, you know, Maseo said, you know, had to lie, you know, had the last words my son heard were a lie. And yeah, like I mean, I was a little surprised when they even found him so, you know, I thought they would find him like deep, grievously wounded in the building where they found him. Now, right. So I did already mention, but I wanted to say I was genuinely moved by Felicity crying close to the end of the episode. You know, it really does hit hard that, you know, seems like Oliver Queen is gone. And she might also just really miss the old lair.